he said, what I'd like to do is take the same two guys that's doing the night watching, and I'll send you down to southern Mississippi to the American Red Cross Senior Life-Saving Swimming School. And that's 6 weeks long, and you'll live down there, and if you can pass the test when you come back, you'll be a lifeguard, and we can open up the swimming area down by the docks. So both Buck and I thought that would be good, and we decided, yes, we'd like to do that. So they put us on a train and they shipped us down there, and we were there for 6 weeks, and we both passed the course. And it was great to be able to learn all of the things that I learned that way. And working in the canteen after that was open on there, they served Cokes and some hot dogs and things like that in there. You could buy it. The public could come in at that time and visit the park. And I really didn't know how to make change. So when somebody would give me $1 for a hot dog and it only cost like 20 cents or 25 cents, I'd have to figure out, you know, how much change do I have to give. And my mentor come over to me one day and he says, I see you're having a little trouble figuring out how to make the change. And I said, well, I've never done it before. He says, son, it's very simple. Just if it's 20 cents and they give you $1, start at 20 cents and give them the rest of the change for $1. And that made it easy because I didn't have to mathematically figure out that 80 cents was the amount of change that I'm supposed to give them. So I learned a lot real quick that way. We served as the life-saving lifeguards there for that summer, and we had a lot of fun doing this stuff. And towards the late summer of that year, I was told that they were not going to have nearly as many men at this camp, and they were sending a lot of people out to another camp in California. And I was on the list, so I would be leaving that camp and go. In fact, there were quite a number of people from that camp that went out to California. It turns out that we spent 4 days on the train with all of our belongings, going from Mississippi to Northern California to a camp called Tulelake, California. This was quite a difference from what we had been used to. We always had been down south where it was warm and really didn't have to worry about freezing, although we could have ice. When we first got to the Tulelake facility, we had a couple of days that we could get acclimated to the camp. And they gave us lectures on the temperatures of the weather, what it was going to be like in the wintertime there, and it really gets cold. We were told that it could be 40 below zero at some times, and if you go out in that without the proper covering on your skin, you would freeze within just a very short time and get frostbite. So we listened very carefully because we were a bunch of hillbillies from Mississippi and had never been in that type of cold before at all. In any case, after we were settled in a little bit, we were assigned jobs. And one of my jobs was to be a truck driver and sometimes mechanic. But most of my time spent there was driving a truck to either haul the men out to the job sites, or in some cases we would be hauling out the food at lunchtime to the various sites. so that the men could eat. That was pretty good duty because all the fresh fruit and stuff was up in the cab of the truck, and we could have a little sample here and there, and that was kind of great. But on the days that we hauled the men out there, we dropped them off, and then I drove a dump truck hauling gravel for building the dikes across the bluff in the open area on the other side, which was going to become the Fish and Wildlife Reserve when it was finished. The stone or gravel that we were hauling had to come from the mountains, and they wanted us to make sure that we understood how to drive a truck in the mountains with a load of gravel on it so you didn't burn the brakes out. And one of those things was you had to do the downshifting of the gears and let the engine hold it back, keep it from going too fast on your way back down the mountain. In any case, we did some practice on that, and we were hauling this gravel, a crushed stone actually, from the mountains down in over to the area where they were building the dikes, and on the dikes that were already up and built, we were dumping this, spreading this stone on top of the dike to create a road bed. This was a nice job also, but it was work because they didn't have power steering at all in those days. And you had to really wrestle with the steering wheel to move this thing around the way you wanted it to. And of course, when we were spreading the gravel, we were able to open the tailgate just a little bit and then drive along slowly as the gravel was emptying out, and we could spread this stuff pretty even on the dike beds that they had built up with the caterpillars and the drag lines. This was a big job because there was a lot of dikes that they were built there. I also sometimes would take the caterpillar drivers out early in the morning, and they would start up the D8 caterpillars that they had there and get them going, and also the drag lines, so as that they could work on building more dikes before we brought the stone down and put it on top of it. Of course, they had the open gates where they had controlled the water going through eventually when the water came, and it was really a nice thing that they were creating there. And as I said before, and later on in life, I was back there one time with my wife to see what it was like.